Hi, it's Kirk. Welcome to the A.D.K Rock and Metal channel. I'm delighted to have the Cambridge death metal band Akilla join us. How are you doing, guys?
Hi,
All right.
thank you.
Superb. So, Ross, you're the vocalist and guitarist, and Dave, you're also a guitarist, and I'm guessing you two are the principal songwriters. Ross, you're the founder member, and Dave joined a year later in 2018. Is that correct?
No, Dave was a lot later
I
on.
was 2 years ago yesterday because it came up on my Facebook thing.
Wow. So yeah, 2021.
Yeah.
I mean, it was So I was one of the founding members, and we got Ginger as well, who was one of the founding members too. So we're kind of like the last two surviving ones, and then we've been trading around with guitarists and bassists for the last couple of years. But yeah, David's been with us for a good 2 years there.
Yeah, 2 years.
So 2 years now. Fucking hell, time goes.
Yeah, let's give some context to the viewers and listeners. Dave, you're in that English thrash metal band. Remind me, is it Elimination?
Yeah.
Yes. Are you playing Bloodstock this year?
Yeah, we've got Bloodstock coming up Sunday morning on the New Blood stage. And a couple of others, not a huge amount. Well, basically I've booked off about 6 months to sort out this release for us, and then they said, do you want to do Bloodstock? I was like, yeah.
Nobody says negative to that, do they? Negative.
Nah, I'm alright.
No, I don't want to do it this year.
Good.
Fine.
Give it a miss.
Not for me. So I'm going to put the album in context. So you released The Gods Have Spoken last Friday, which was the 2nd of June. CD format, available on all the streaming platforms. I know because I subscribed to Deezer and was listening to it. There we go. Beautiful CD format there in a wallet. Just before we get into it, I would just like to quickly ask you, 2022 was a good year for you in terms of touring. You played HRH Vikings, and you also went to Iceland. Can you just tell us a bit more about the Iceland trip?
That was fun. I'll let David go into how we got that. And then we can go over what it was like.
Iceland was basically, I'd been talking to a few Europe contacts about doing stuff this year, and Iceland was just the first one that came back to us. And I think Ross has been there about a year beforehand. So when I mentioned it as we're totally going to do this, the reaction was, we're going to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, we'll do it anyway.
Very nearly went bankrupt. No, it did well over there in the end.
Yeah, we did really well actually.
It was our first European one, but I just think with the style of music and with, what we wanted to kind of get into that something Nordic, something Scandinavian. I just didn't think it was going to be Iceland. Thought it was going to be the other direction. But it was great. Great guys over there. We've run some really amazing nights. There's an awesome scene as well in Reykjavik, which when I was there a year prior, I just did not even realise existed. But yeah, it's awesome scene there. Lovely.
Yeah, they've got their Reykjavik Death Fest coming up in September, I think.
Yeah.
And the lineup for that's cracking. I don't quite know how they've managed to pull that off.
Yeah. But if anyone can get across there, go to it, because it's awesome.
I'd love to go to Iceland. I mean, I've reviewed one or two bands over the last couple of years from there. There's a band called Cult of Lilith that play a really strange version of tech death. They're on the label Season of Mist. And then I remember reviewing another tech death band whose name escapes me. That was 2 years ago. That was a bit too virtuosic for me. I thought there was just shredding everywhere, which is fine, but the songwriting wasn't great. But phenomenal musicians.
Yeah.
So how many dates did you play in Iceland then?
We played the one, but felt like we were there for eons.
Yeah.
We were awake nearly the entire time. I think I clocked in about 36 hours awake at one point. We only played the one gig, but we went to a gig the night before as well, so they took us as guests to another gig, which was...
that was Epidermal Veil playing that one.
I think it was all Icelandic, weren't they? Bands that played that night. So it was really great to see what's going on in that scene over there as well.
It's absolutely stacked.
Yeah. A lot
They've
of
got everything.
A lot of black metal, a lot of brutal death, and a guy with a laptop who was just in another world.
That's the most Icelandic thing I've ever seen. It was like watching Eurovision on a normal stage.
Imagine a like death metal, but it's trance, but it's a laptop and a guy screaming in a mic in Scandinavian. It's just, yeah.
We wouldn't even call that avant-garde, would we? We just wouldn't know what to call it.
I had no idea what to call it. I was like, this is cool. It's what I needed.
So shall we talk about The Gods Have Spoken then?
Yeah.
So this is 46 minutes in length, 8 tracks. 2 singles were released prior to the COVID-19 lockdowns, I think, weren't they? If I'm right.
Yeah, the Echo was the second single. That came out, I think, like a few weeks before the lockdown, actually, because it was Valentine's Day we released it. And I'm sure, lockdown was like 2 weeks after that.
Yeah, it was February, wasn't it, when you released it? And lockdown was March, so yeah. A lot has changed since then. So you open the album, track number 1, Winds of Winter. I'll just read through some of the notes I've put down on this. I really enjoyed this song. So I can almost hear like the mist setting, in the first 20 seconds. Nice atmospheric, but there's something menacing there in the background. And then there's a thunderous riff that enters. Symphonics come to life as well. Gory death metal vocals from you, Ross. I think you're really digging deep into your register on that as well. Excellent guitar tone and drum production. And I think that, is this intentional? You really do go for a Nightwish chorus in this song. It really took me by surprise because there's some real bolt thrower death metal moments in there. And then you get this epic uplift. So do you want to talk us through it, both of you? What you think of this song and what you wanted to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this one, so this was one that actually came from David when he joined the band. So he came in with this one, his song that he's had, one of those on the drive songs.
Yeah.
And we just like tweaked it for the Akilla sound, so it would just blend in with a lot of the others. But like the chorus was a big thing. We kind of left completely untouched from what David actually had. I think with the add-in of like all the Simpson things, that gives it that like Nightwishy type of vibe. But I don't think it's definitely not the route we're going down for it. But pass over to you, David, because you were the one that had the majority of that song.
Yeah, that was one where I've had it kicking around for a while. I think the main things we kept were the pre-chorus and the chorus.
Yeah.
The verse was very, very different originally. I think it came out better because it suited the Akilla sound more. Pre-chorus, when I had like the demo for it, which I've still got somewhere, was basically the rhythm guitars for the actual track now.
Yeah.
And then we added a load of like tappy stuff, and the drums are a lot better than they were on the demo.
We had a drummer do those. So.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the bridge as well. We just sort of threw
Bridge,
on the bridge.
love that bridge.
Just something a bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
I love that bridge as well. It's fun to play. It's one of the few bridges that I can play live where like I can do stuff with this hand and be like, "Hello, audience." It's like one of the few times I can. Like,
it's why we open with it a lot.
on stage. That's probably one of the main songs on the album, I think, where it's a good blend of like both our writing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because to me, there's a really dramatic moment in this. So, Dave, you said that you wrote it, and we know that your background is thrash metal. I think it's 3 minutes and 25 seconds, and there's a reset to this really spiky thrash metal riff, which again, I think re-energizes the song, because it's almost 5.5 minutes, isn't it? Which is about normal for a death metal song. But I really love that at the end. And I think you played this live when I saw you at Club 85 in Hitchin.
Yeah.
6 weeks ago, and I remember, even though I no longer have long hair, I remember spinning my head. Thinking, yes, this is one of those moments. Can you just briefly tell us the lyrical content? Or I know that this album is based on folklore and legends from various civilizations throughout the ages. What does this song touch upon lyrically?
The chorus was one that I had kicking around that we kind of retroactively put some mythology stuff behind it that, if I'm completely honest, I can't remember exactly what it was. But it was
a Nordic one.
It's basically there has to be some Nordic myth somewhere of someone kicking around in the woods in the night when it's cold. But that was kind of I wrote it literally in the middle of winter, and it was howling. I live in the middle of some woods, and it was howling wind, and I was just sat there, and it was at like 2 a.m. I was going to bed, and the chorus came into my head, and I was like, shit, I've got to get up and record this. And then I think I sat up to about 4 a.m, and that was the first draft of the demo. And then I'd work the next day, because that's just when it always happens. Like, I think Ross gets the same thing, where it's just like the most inconvenient time you can possibly imagine is the point where you're like, I gotta go record this like right now, because
Always.
it's got legs and I need to like put something down before I forget it.
Yeah.
Do you ever use your mobile phone sometimes at the spare moment, just hum something into it so you don't forget? If it really comes into your head, like when you're out walking the dog, it's like, shit, I need to remember this. Do you ever use your phone to do that?
I do that. Envato, I think it was, or Evernote, that's it, yeah. So I've got Evernote, and I do that all the time. So I'm quite often out and about, and I have a little folder of just like brain dump stuff that goes into there. That's not just for music, it's like everything is a mess on there of brain dump stuff from my life.
Yeah, I've got the same thing with Notepad on my phone, where it's just like random shit. There's like a page of it that's just like lyrics from all over the place for different stuff and different projects that just end up in one huge sheet, and then I've got to try and work out what's for which thing. There's not often much instrumental stuff on there. Normally I write with a guitar, which you don't.
Yeah.
But
I do.
Normally I write when I've got all my recordings set up there, and I'm just like, here's a thing, it fell out.
Yeah, we're completely different in that sense. Completely different how we write stuff there.
Yeah.
Let's move on to track number 2, which in my opinion is the best song on the album. I love the guitar work on this, and you had a really good reaction to this as well, didn't you, when you released it? I think it surprised you.
Yeah.
So I'll just put it in context, my views on this for our viewers and listeners, and then let's hand it over to you. So I love the intro to this. I think there's 3 really vintage metallic riffs in this. The first one reminds me of the technique of James Hetfield, you know, in the Metallica song Through the Nether from the Black Album. It reminds me of that, and then it goes into a bit of a like Carcass direction. It's a real good swerve in it, and a good groove as well. So to me, that first 1.5 minutes completely justifies you guys wearing the wristbands, the vests, playing the V guitars, swinging your head. It's like this is what the music was written for. But the thing is with this as well, again, I like how you keep with the death metal vocals in the chorus. There's no temptation here, is there, to try to use a different phonation or a more melodic technique, and that works, the contrast. And again, you've got quite an epic keyboard-driven, when I say keyboard-driven chorus, they're quite low in the mix, they're never dominating. I think that's why I enjoy this album so much as a melodic death metal record, because the guitars are absolutely at the forefront, and you're not just going for the chorus every time. There's a lot of stop-start and some really good panning techniques in the ears as well. So who wants to go first on this magnificent song, in my opinion?
That's a Ross one.
Yeah, I mean, this entire song was like, this whole song grew out of me trying to find a riff for another song, and I got so fucked off with not finding something that fits in this other song that I ended up with actually 3 things that worked really well together, and that is the opening riff, the verse riff, and the weird kind of the one that I sent to him when he first joined, and he just told me to fuck off basically, which is the weird like triplety one,
Pre-chorus thing.
Yeah, and I ended up actually, it's really funny, I ended up abandoning the song I was trying to write this riff for and just like concentrate on this because it worked quite nicely. But I have a very much approach to like songwriting, which is I want to enjoy playing it. If I'm bored playing it, it changes. It says I'm going to be bored listening to it, and then I think other people are going to be bored listening to it. So that's why this one in particular, but a lot of the songwriting, it's constantly moving and trying to like develop. Yeah, you've got these hardcore kind of riffs, but then this like big epic chorus, but then contrast by dropping back down. And that's quite often what I found was the challenge, was making that flow like naturally from like real kind of death metal type riffs, this fast energetic stuff, into something quite grandeur. But then, yeah, how do I pull that back down? How do I get that back up. And I do like Serpent because I think it captures a lot of that well, and it is a really fun one to play, but it's a taxing one to play. So it's why we tend to put it like second in the set, because it gets people going quite a lot if, you know, we've had a bit of a false start.
It gets a crowd moving, it gets us moving as well.
Yeah. But if we put it like later on in the set, like it would murder me. I know it would murder Ginger. He was like, we gotta put this one first because he has a lot of drum work in that song. There's so many intricate little bits that I just didn't even notice he does until like I was mixing the album. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? But like so much he does in that song as well. So yeah, it's a fun one to do. I love it for the riffs. Those first 3 riffs in particular, though, they're just, I wouldn't say there's anything complex like writing about them, but just how they kind of move is quite nice.
Yeah, it reminds me of that Norwegian death metal band Blood Red Throne. Their album, I think it was 2021, Imperial Congregation. I really enjoyed that, and you've got a similar production. Can I ask a question about the outro riff? Were you thinking that you just wanted a video like Carcass, you know, when they do not the actual title track Heartwork, where it fades out and they're all spinning their heads and you've got this double kick footwork and these chunky riffs? Did you have that in mind when you wrote that? It's like, if we do this, we're going to do a video as well.
Yeah, no, actually, I didn't think about doing a video on this one at the time. It was more just like getting something that just, you know, kind of ended with a bit more like punch you in the dick kind of feeling of let's just slow everything down and go really sludgy. You know, how we just got to end it, but let's end it again. It varied in a little bit of a different way, so we're not just hearing the same stuff. And then Ginger, when we were writing it, like I sent him it over. I sent him the Guitar Pro over with this, and then he just pinged it back like not long afterwards. And there was just like these random 2 bars suddenly of quickness at the very end, where it's like we're playing the riff, and back to the same riff, and it stops. And I can't say that took me so long to get, like actually playing wise, because of the timing. But no, when we did this one, it's David that actually sort of convinced me this should be the single, because I wasn't riding on this like as a single for the album initially.
The thing that sold me on this as the single is on the way out of the outro, as it goes back in, on the way out of the middle 8, as it goes back into the chorus, and you do that scream that goes on for like a minute straight or something stupid.
Scream, yeah.
That was the bit where I was like, that's gotta be on a video, basically.
Yeah, so that was I used to work with a singing teacher. So when I worked as a music teacher, we had a music, and she taught me like circular breathing. So the idea of like sustaining a note but kind of passing the air, like, you know, through your nose, like out. And that's like the only point where I was like, what if I could do circular breathing but with death metal like growls? Like, let's go for it. And every time I do it live, there is like, sometimes if I've not quite took the breath, there is a moment where I'm like, I'm gonna pass out. I'm gonna fucking stack it off the stage right now.
It literally makes me laugh every time we play that. Just seeing how long you keep going for it.
Yeah.
Another reason why it has to be the second track in the set as well, because that would probably exhaust you, wouldn't it, if that was the penultimate or even the ultimate track.
That's the best way to describe that song. It's exhausting.
Not for the listener though, definitely not for the listener. It's it packs such a punch, it accelerates, doesn't it? It's, like you say, it builds to a chorus as well, but it doesn't just stick to a predictable verse chorus format. Now track number 3, Queen of Heaven.
Yeah.
First time that I'm starting to hear almost like an Ennio Morricone influence, a real epic flow to this song, certainly in the melodic phrasings of the guitar. Am I right in thinking that Amon Amarth are an influence on Akilla? That's what I'm hearing at certain sections of this song.
Now for Ross, more now for me.
Sorry, my laptop's dying, that's why I'm just rushing around that. It's not planned that well. I'm listening.
Yeah. So Amon Amarth. So Dave, you said that you don't really, that's not really what you listen to.
I would put it as probably a musical influence for Akilla that's just not really for me. Like actually thinking about the kind of lead bit at the start of Winds of Winter. When I wrote that, I was like, that sounds like an Amon Amarth thing. But I've definitely missed them a couple of times at festivals for other stuff.
I like they do a good set, but I get a bit bored. So if we go like cycling back to that, you get like it's very samey type things. I love them, but I struggle to get through an album. And that's nothing against any of the songs and things. Like there's loads of albums where the songs are quite similar all the way through. So for me, they're always in a lot of my playlists. Like my vocal style is very much based on Amon Amarth as an influence as well, to like try and get those lows. Like I love the low growls he does. But I think Queen is definitely, for me, like when I was writing that one, it followed a Insomnium type vibe.
Yes.
I put it more as Morphis.
No, it started like with a bit of an Insomnium vibe, and then that bridge kind of section. Like that's my favourite part in the album, is that bridge, because there's just so much going on there, and it's the one I was most excited to like mix up as well, because there's a lot of details in the synths. There's about 3 different melodies that is just contrapuntal. Everything's just passing between each other, between the guitars, the bass, the synths as well, and like that it evolved initially from like the Insomnium like vibe, but then there's this rhythmical section which I've no idea where that came from for the verse.
Yeah, there's one thing I did know, and I reviewed it for Screen Blast Repeat. A lot of death metal that you hear nowadays, they're really going for those strange clashing of notes and intervals, aren't they? Dissonance. Whereas you stick to Western music theory, so it has got the classic heavy metal stride to it as well, which is great, because I think I've just heard so much of that discordant, unmelodious jazz fusion type death metal over the last 2 years. It's actually good to just listen to something that's grounded in music theory that I can understand as well. And I think you're trying to balance here a sense of the epic with certain extreme metal elements, and I think you get that equilibrium on this song, and that's the challenge, really, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if you do self-identify as a melodic death metal band, but that seems to be, that ratio between the two now seems to be skewed towards the symphonic keyboards with a lot of stuff I listen to, and you've kind of dragged it back to where it should be. And certainly on Song of the Seafarers, so track number 4, 5 minutes and 53 seconds. I've heard you play this live, and of course I've complimented you, Ross, on the sweep picking solo. Not that there are some great lead guitar moments on this album. That's the one that stands out for me, other than when we get to Cosmica, track number 6, which we will discuss later on. I really like the colourful guitar crunch. I say colourful because when you get heavy guitar, you don't normally expect the textures to be anything other than black and grey, do you? But there's some really interesting drum patterns at the beginning. What is he doing, the drummer? Because normally you just use like a staccato. I know, I have to keep playing it back and I still can't work out what he's doing.
A lot. He does a lot of work like on the drums. He's very, very detailed on the drums as well. So when you watch him live and stuff, he's very focused on like playing the same things, but he's quite perfectionist for his hits. But the grooves that he writes are very they're very complementary of like everything that's going on. So it's not the type of drummer that would sort of come in and be like, listen to the track and write the beats. He's writing hits to the solos. He's picking out the accented notes within solos. You'll hear that again, like throughout the album. You'll just hear little like dings of cymbals, little embellishes that just match perfectly with a note. And that's something like, it's over David and I's heads, because we'll write just a basic beat on demos.
I'll literally just pick stuff in the drummer, and then it'll come back, and I'll be like, "What have you done?" But it works.
But it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot in there. Song of the Seafarers especially, there's so much going on, I think, tonally, like between sort of clean and the intro sections, the solos, like there's that bridgey bit as well. Like he's got such a hard like kick pattern in the bridge of the Seafarers, and like that's a big bit there. Like when that riff comes in, it just carries it through into the solo. But even now, like, I listen to the songs and I've got headphones in, and I'm still like picking out little bits that I'm like, that's really cool, like how that's written. I know I've not heard it before, but I'm like,
it's not a danger, because he's playing such complex beats which you don't expect, and you're in 4/4 timing. Because I was watching an interview with Paul Masvidal, who was on that classic Death album, Human, the 1991 album.
Yeah.
And he and the drummer, Sean Reiner, they were one of the first who were deliberately doing polyrhythms, but it wasn't really understood in music at the time. And Chuck Schuldiner is playing this riff, and he's never heard, doesn't know what they're doing, so he just stops and they're like, okay, just
he does a lot
fill in
of
vocal
bits
timing and don't
very
listen to the drums.
consistent.
Do you have to do that in this song at the beginning? Just not listen to the drums because it might throw you out.
I don't think so, because everything that he's doing is so. It is left field as a guitarist writing drums, but it works from a guitarist point of view when you listen back to it.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there that is completely like contrapuntal to everything else that's going on. It all fits really nicely, but it's just something that neither of us could write when we're writing stuff.
I still like I say that I can't appreciate half of it because I'm still picking up on little bits as well, and every time I pick up on something, I'm like, that is such a detail that if it wasn't there, like I know it's not there, but because it's there, it just really pulls everything together. Like there's just so much going on. There's no standard beats throughout the album. Like, there's a lot of grace notes, a lot of ghost notes. You've seen his kit. It's a massive kit, but he uses it. I hate when I've got drummers who, they come in with all their cymbals and all their everything, and they just stick there on the hi-hat. Like, he's using everything on that kit. But yeah, it's good. I don't think I've ever found a point when we play. So we don't play with in-ears. He plays to a click, obviously because we've got the back ends. But we play to him. I don't think there's ever a point, even if I get lost on stage or I screw up, I can still link in quite easily to the beats, even though they're complex. I can still hear. Okay, I'll drop in at that point, and yeah, it's always been fine.
Isn't that quite unusual? You two as guitar players, you're saying you play to him. In most rock and metal, the drummer just is following the guitars, so that must be
Following.
yeah. Well, I think that I'd love to be in a band that do that. We can obviously, if you listen to post-punk music and drums like that, it's all about the drums and the bass, isn't it? And the guitars, they're used sparingly. But you're doing that. I suppose the one band who do that actually is Tool, isn't it? If you listen to their music, clearly the
one of
guitars.
Ginger's biggest influences, actually.
Is it? Yeah, you could probably tell because they do that. There's no way that the drums are following guitar. They're all following him. They're just trying to stay in with what he's doing.
We're dabbling with in-ears towards that bit, but yeah, up to this point, it's just literally been, he's got the click, he's got the tracks. It's hilarious because he never hears what we're playing, like on stage, which is absolutely hilarious. So he's got the back-ends in his head and like the track. So we're out here playing all of the death metal, the riffs, the growls. He has no idea what I sing until like we released the album, and he could actually hear the tracks. He had a clue what the vocals were. Because he'll look out at us, like headbanging, like doing all of this stuff, and in his ears is like beautiful orchestral music and a click.
Hey, that's surely what makes it such a great live show when people go to watch Akilla, though. He can just focus on that one part of the set, can't he? So one question before we move on to track number 5, Blood and Bone. Who's playing the high register, like slow pitch bends in the chorus? Because that becomes a defining feature, I think, of your chorus work throughout the album, where you'll have this really high-pitched guitar phrasing. Who's playing that in the chorus to Song of the Seafarers?
It'd be David Scott.
I've got the lead bit on most ones that aren't Gods. I think that's the one where
David Scott
switches because there's a pre-chorus I do and then the chorus you do.
Yeah, you've got the leads for Seafarers. I think you do quite a lot of the pinches.
If there's a squealy noise, the chances are it's me.
Does that give you a chance to breathe when you're playing it live, doing that in the chorus? Because Ross will continue thrashing away, won't he, like alternate palm muting. And then can you just almost lean back on the neck of the guitar and just feel it? Do you welcome those moments as respite when you're playing live?
No, because I'm always terrified I'm going to hit the wrong fret. I'm probably actually more comfortable doing the riffy bits because that's where you've got a lot more wiggle room for any mistakes. Whereas if you've got the huge chorus leads, if you're even a little bit out on that, it is very, very apparent very, very quickly.
Especially as all of the tracks are, so like a big way I compose with the back ends is vertically, which is we it's almost like orchestral wise. So we take the chords, we got that note in the guitar, we got that note in the rhythm, that note in the backends, things like that. So if like one of those goes out, it's obvious, and the backend's not going to go out. So if it's going to go out, it's one of us.
Don't drink before you go on stage, I think is what you're saying. Don't drink alcohol, sorry, before you go on stage. Speaking of riffs, I love my second favourite song on the album is track number 5, Blood and Bone. Another excellent 50 seconds of maniacal guitar frenzy, really, isn't it? There's some fantastic pinch harmonics, really fast alternative picking riffs, like Dave Mustaine techniques there as well. And again, I like how you avoid the temptation to clean sing and in the uplift of the song. It doesn't need it because the melody of the other instruments is doing that, isn't it? So I think that is your sound, really, isn't it now? That signature that you have the contrast, but you don't give us the contrast we'd expect in the way that you write in the choruses. Really spiky, the guitar work on this. What are your thoughts on it?
I love Blood and Bone. It's one that's grown on me. It took a lot of rewrites though. That one did. It sucked initially, but it had a different chorus. The only thing that's like surviving from its original form is that first 50 seconds or so. So that whole intro thing. But I love it. It's probably the only one where we dip into techie stuff a little bit with some of the rhythms and the verse riff. The verse riff is a bitch to play and sing though. It's an autopilot riff for me where I just pray the right thing comes out.
Imagine how complex that is, because I like your posture when I see you on stage. You're almost leaning over the microphone, crouching over it, aren't you, with your V guitar, and your right hand is just glued to the bridge, isn't it, ready to palm you all the riffs. And yeah, that must be a bit of a bastard to play live when you're trying to do vocals at the same time.
It's one of the hardest ones, and I'm not singing.
That's why I took the chorus on that one though, because the chorus is lovely and slow on a melody, and the vocals pick out the gaps where the guitar's not. So it's kind of like that blues back and forth where you play something, you sing something, and I wouldn't want to do the rhythm bit underneath that because I wouldn't be able to sing with it. But then we go into the bridge, and I love the bridge on that. The scream as well is such a fun thing live because it just scares the shit out of everyone. And that's an instrument as well. It's a sample. It's not even a vocal sample. It's a death whistle, Aztec death whistle. Because that whole mythology of that one is very Aztec, sacrificey. But it's great because that gives us the tempo change we need to drop into a absolutely stupid riff where one of us is playing triplets and one is playing semiquavers. Yeah,
it's a great outro. By the way, you're right about that scream. When I first heard it, that's obviously a sample. I thought it was from a horror film.
No, it's actually it's an Aztec death whistle. It's a weird, skull-like instrument that's been crafted. So when you blow into it, it just comes out with a scream. Fucking horrifying they are.
Should we mention the bass work on this album, Booty Calf?
Probably should.
Good mix. Did she,
Probably don't call her Booty Calf.
Yeah, that's what she's called on the Encyclopedia of the Talent. Yeah, is it Caitlin Wales, is she called? Have we got her name right?
Catherine Hales.
Hales. What's she called? Catherine Hales. Sorry.
Now on.
Yeah, okay, sorry, Catherine, you're now called Caitlin Wales.
Oh.
I know she joined the band. Was she the last person to join the current lineup?
Yeah, so she was the last one and very quickly got up to speed on bass. And it was at the very, very start of recording, so we're just sort of wrapping up, changing the songwriting, but obviously we're if you want to put your spin on it, go for it with bassline. So yeah, she joined in very last notice. It's been great doing gigs. Fantastic, and this has brought a wealth of contacts and knowledge from a previous band talk into us as well. So that's been great, and that's helped us get out into places like HRH, Warhorns, all these other areas. So it's really good to have her in the band.
Yeah, and it's not lost in the mix, the bass either, is it? You can even hear the root notes, and she doesn't play with a plectrum, but you can hear them thudding along. So I was impressed by that. And there's a few, when I've listened to it, there's quite a few bass fills in there as well, aren't there, throughout the album? So she's definitely not underused on this record. So let's move on to Cosmica, track number 6. Fascinating song, this one. I think did you release this as a single? Sorry.
Yeah, that was the first single. It's probably like, I think that is like the oldest song on the album.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Kind of like set the bar, I think, for everything that came afterwards, writing wise. Yeah, and again, I love it, and we released it as a single because it was just it was a busy song. Like, there's a lot going on in it. I loved the chorus in it at the time. I loved the breakdown riff as well because it's not like a slow sludgy. It's quick, it's fast. It's it's nothing overly complex going on, but it's just a cool riff.
Yeah, Dave, the solo in this, as you said there, it's just as interesting listening to the three riffs that are underpinning the is it a guitar trade-off you're doing on the solos?
Yeah. So
yeah.
The melodic bit is Ross, and then when the squealy started, it's me.
I love that part. You know where the mood of the solo changes, but the riff that comes in underneath it is really aggressive as well. There's almost like a split-second stop, isn't there? Like a dead stop, and it just comes back in. It's so heavy.
Yeah, I
really
love
classic. Classic death metal. That it's like listening to Death or Carcass or one of the greats with the guitar work. I think you go out of your way on this song to really just say, by the way, we are, you are hearing melodies in this, but we are a death metal band, and it's like you put in 2 minutes of absolute insanity in this song, haven't you? Just to keep the energy levels up and the malevolence as well. What's your favourite part of the song other than, I know we've been talking about the solo, is there something that stands out for you, Dave, in this song?
Probably the chorus. I love the solo for that one because it's just fun. It's one of the, there's not a lot of songs where me and Ross have got like a full-on trade-off solo thing, but I do love the solo for that one. But the chorus has just got such a like stompy, big sound behind it. It makes it. That's why it's where it is in the album as well.
Yeah,
is that you've got the riff insanity of Blood and Bone just before it, and then Cosmica almost slows it down, but is still fucking mental.
Yeah, it's that I feel like for me, Cosmica is the one that is the right balance between the epic and like the aggressive. There's just a lot going on. There's no real clean bits or anything, but it's just like every 16 bars there's something else like there for you, and you love that ending because that ending we just try and outdo ourselves.
Yeah,
the,
quite violent ending, isn't it as well?
I've broken more strings on the outro of that song than on any other song.
That's it live. We just like the audience go away. Like we just look at each other and be like, right, mine's going to be higher pitch now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I called it violent chugging at the end of the song. Yeah, a lot of like really nasty down picking in there, isn't there? Yeah, it stands out for me, Cosmica. The title track number 7, finger tapping guitar patterns at the beginning. They're quite effulgent, almost, aren't they? Really colourful. Yeah, but it leaps into a thrash metal song, really, doesn't it? Like it's almost like a cyclone when the guitars lock in on that thrash moment as well. Really crunchy, this one. This is one where I think the bass is more prominent. Where Catherine Hales is bass.
Caitlin Wales.
Not Caitlin Wales, definitely not Boudica. You can hear the circular rhythms that she's played as well. I think the only one criticism I had of this song, I think because it's where it's placed on the album, I think the chorus, I'm expecting it in this song. It's one of the few times where it's like, it's coming, and it doesn't quite deliver for me. I wonder if that's just because it's track number 7 on the album, but what are your thoughts on this song on the title track? Was this one of the songs you composed last for the record?
No, it's one of the earliest songs. It might be. Like that chorus was probably one of the first choruses. Now that was written like way back in the original like lineup, and it's gone through a lot of change. And I know when we were doing the mix down, like it was the last one we mixed as well because it took the most effort to kind of get the production side right on it. So like we got the basses higher in that one than most of the others just to get that like bit more impact, especially in the bridge type riff, the dum 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 dum, like that bass is really driving a lot of that there. I don't. The chorus is different. It's different there. It's the only one where I say that the lead melody is it's quite jolly. It's a bit more jollier sounding on that, but the bridge I do quite like when it goes into the clean, and the outro I like as well. But
the moment where that outro hits, I love. That's probably one of my favourite bits on the entire album.
That is fun to play live because it's a big sound. Like when you got the double kicks. It's a big sound live. I don't know where I'd rank it for myself and things. It's
I still have it
my
as one of the
favourite
standout songs. I still had it as one of the 3 standout songs, even though I was expecting the chorus. But you're right, it's because of that. I really like that. It's like you're threatening a transition, when it goes to clean, and you can hear the high red, you can hear the high bass scales, can't you, in there? Yeah. And then, is there just one guitar there, or are there two guitars in there? There's heavy reverb on it. I can hear that, in the clean section.
Yeah, the rhythm clean that comes in initially, that is just me for like 8 bars, but my clean tone has like shitloads on it. It's got octave pedals, reverb and delay, so it's quite a spacey tone. But then David comes in with like a high, like alternating little melody, and then it's that melody that carries into like we do a really sudden quick trade from rhythm to lead, and then it's that melody that carries on throughout into the outro there.
There's a Machine Head riff in here, isn't there? Like you said, you just did the onomatopoeia. I was like, oh yes, we're getting a throwback to the great period of the 90s, when no one called it groove metal at the time, but it's quite brutal, isn't it? And I thought that really stood out because I'm hearing a lot of really rhythmically really technical death metal patterns, and then when you get something like that, it's like, yeah, that's great how you've inserted that into a song where you just would not expect to find it.
He made me play it twice, so
yeah, exactly. You like
when I gave this song to him, he was like, "No, we're playing that riff again."
It was when I joined and when I sort of got the song, the structure was very, very, very different. Where there was I think on the tab, what's it labelled as? Is it the initial bit where it's very palm muted and goes is labelled as pre-cum. And then the next bit where it actually kicks off in the second part is actual jizz.
But it worked because initially it was just like a once-off little link riff, but it worked bringing it back in.
Yeah,
as a major thing. I do like that riff. It's
fun to play.
It's just simple and it's fun to play, but it works. It's one of those riffs where I'm sure someone else has probably wrote this before, but because it's just simple. Why has nobody wrote that before? Because it's just fun.
Don't join a thrash band, you'll hate it.
The tools you've got to play with in the thrash band, they're certainly. You're always going to play a riff that sounds like Angel of Death, aren't you?
Yeah.
Sounds like fight. Just can't avoid it.
Covered once for elimination for him.
Yeah.
And I was like, I never played so many power chords and triplets in my life.
That was the first gig we ever played together as well.
That was our first ever gig.
And you covered one in that, did you say?
Yeah, so we did. So Bloodstock 2021 was the year as it was coming out of COVID, and they had all the dropouts that you can imagine because everyone caught COVID. And I think it was Master Charger were due to play. They caught COVID, so couldn't. And at the time, Elimination were running with 3 of us. There was me, Neil the frontman, and Lee the other guitarist. And we had programmed drums for live because we just couldn't find the right person to drum for us. And I think it was the Sunday before Bloodstock, I got a call saying, Master Charger have dropped out, do you want the slot? And I was like, yes. Obviously, yes. Neil was going anyway, and I was going anyway, so it was kind of, that part was done. But our other guitarist, Lee, couldn't do it because he couldn't get off work, basically, at that short notice. So I phoned up Ross on the Sunday night when he was leaving on the Tuesday night or something like that to say, I need you to learn the elimination set for Bloodstock. And he had 2 days to learn it, and he fucking did, and I still don't understand how.
I showed up at Bloodstock with a guitar, and we did like a run through in the car park. I was like, let's just go on stage, do it, it'll be fine. You know, do it on the night, it'll be fine. That was like our first gig we ever played together. So like, we've been doing rehearsals and things with Akilla, but we hadn't actually even been on stage as Akilla, both of us working. So we had no idea how we even played together at that point. And we're like, it's just, why not? Let's make
we've done
Bloodstock
3
with
Akilla practices.
Yeah. But playing live, so yeah, I was like, screw it, we'll just go on stage at Bloodstock. It'll be the first time we played together. The set, I don't know. It'll be right.
I was thinking one was probably, at least you felt, well, I know that song anyway. I know it's very difficult to play, the Metallica cover, but man, that's it's quite normal. Anyway, when you hear guitar, these moments, like you've just said there, whether it be Black Sabbath, you know, when they had to get Cozy Powell in to learn an entire set overnight, or what's called from Machine Head joined Slayer, didn't they, for a couple of gigs, and he had to learn that in one go.
He learned it on the plane.
Yeah, exactly. He's a huge Slayer fan anyway, isn't he? But and then this has happened here again, isn't it? I wish I had that talent to do that.
It's more the fear of fucking it up.
Yeah,
Does it more than
that's what
anything
motivates you.
I didn't sleep for like 2 days.
Yeah.
Fuck, why did I say yes to this?
Because you can't say no. I mean,
exactly, I can't say no. So I end up
I'm
just walking on stage at Bloodstock with another band. Like, why am I here? Like,
You're just like, can we get to one? Because I know that song. Everyone else does.
But it helped. It made us feel reassured. And then, like, the first time we all went on with Akilla, with like,
it made the first Akilla gig with me there the least stressful thing ever.
Yeah. So easy to do. And it was kind of the same. Even when we got Kath on board, she was in a very similar situation. She had like a week. I think it was a Nottingham gig, and she was like, "Oh my god, I'm so nervous." I was like, "Well, I've fucking been there." So it's, but you know, she pulled it off as well at that time. Yeah. It's one of those things as musicians where, like, you want it to happen, like you want those opportunities and things, and then like when they do come up, you just gotta say yes and just.
Gotta say yes and do it.
Yeah, you gotta ride on.
Fear of failure guide you. So shall we look at? Let's dig into the last track, Echo.
Yep.
The one song I've listened to 5 times. I can't quite get my head around it, and I've realised why. Because it's the one song where I'm constantly expecting it to renew at some point and have a really vicious death or thrash metal moment, and it doesn't quite arrive because I think it's a good song to end the album, the mood that you're trying to portray and the emotions. But it's the longest one as well, isn't it? 7 minutes and 45 seconds. Talk to me about this, Dave, because you joined this band when this song was already written.
Yeah.
What's your angle on this?
It's probably one of my favourite ones on the album. It's got such a weight behind it in terms of the emotional weight behind the song that it just didn't need some thrashy, deathy, riffy thing in it. The solo when I came in, I completely rewrote. Other than that, it was pretty much as it was when I joined. The verse riff is like, when you say that, it's funny because the verse riff is the one where I go into thrash mode, because it's the one where I downpick everything in that riff, and then Ross has got this weird fucking pick in hand doing like this weird up-picky thing, because we for the album we had to separately do rhythm tracks because mine and his picking style is so different that getting it bang on, we couldn't do it with both of us doing the rhythm tracks. But Echo is probably actually one of my favourites on the whole album.
Yeah, I wonder if I did pick up on that riff. I wonder if it's, to my ears, I wonder if the keyboards, the symphonics, are probably louder on this and more dynamic than the other songs. Is that correct, Ross? Are there more keyboards on this than other songs?
Yeah, they might be a little bit louder than some of the other ones. in places. I mean, there's more in the sort of choirs in this one, because like all the choirs are programmed, so the choirs are basically just singing like phrases and stuff like that, and that kind of comes through a little bit more there. But there's some solo instruments thrown in as well. So like there's a Norwegian violin in that track as well.
Oh, okay.
Which it's subtle. I mean, if you listen through headphones it's there in the clean bit. It's there on the ending as well, and it kind of underlays like some of the guitar melodies. So it helps like reinforce. Like you could mistake it for like a phaser pedal in places because it's literally note for note. But I don't know, like that. Yeah, I think I remember writing that song. It was quite a few years ago now, but it has got like a massive emotion because it was written after I'd experienced something like quite traumatic. So that song was like a way for me to actually write a lot of emotion at the time. You know, the cliche musician story of throw your emotion into music, but that's what that song became. It became an output for me to deal with that at the time. So yeah, nothing thrashy, nothing like heavy went into it. It just kind of became like, you know, a pure, like, I just wanted it to be an epic, just like a pure thing throughout that had like melodies that you could almost like feel emotion behind it. And like a lot of that inspiration there I kind of drew from like piano playing and soundtrack music. So a lot of like Hans Zimmer modern type soundtracks became a massive influence for this song.
Definitely the Gut Punch song.
Yeah, it's meant to be it's what I was going for. Like, hopefully it could be a gut punch.
Bang.
It's a capture for me of it's a moment in time for me of capturing something that happened years ago and a way to kind of share it with others in a way, but like in a musical sense.
Yeah, because the dominating mood on this to me is almost like a heroic self-sacrifice. So I think when I reviewed it for Scream Blast Repeat, I said it's almost like you're tracing the steps to Valhalla. You know, the hero slain in the field, and then he's ascending to the afterlife. That to me, it's always subjective, isn't it, when you interpret it?
Oh yeah.
The language of music and the emotions it does to you. But yeah, there was that element of almost transcendence, moving from one realm to another.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely understand why it's the closing track on the album. You didn't play this live, understandably, when I saw you, because you only had a 30-minute set. Will you be playing this on the road when you tour next?
No, we did play it. Yeah, we did close. Yeah, we did close.
We pretty much use this as the closing track for every
I
gig.
don't remember this when I saw you live.
We did half. So when we're short on time, we do acts off the intro. You know, the whole clean section.
Oh, okay.
And we just sort of go straight in with that big punch like on the distortion side. So yeah, if we've got a 30-minute set, like we act off the intro, but we pretty much always finish with echo. I think there was one gig where we didn't finish with echo, and it just
we were like, oh, it feels weird.
It just didn't feel right. And even from an audience perspective, it felt like we actually lost. Like, it just didn't feel like we closed the set. It just felt like we like played a song and then walked off.
Did not finish.
No, so I think like from that point we've always kind of finished with echo, because it's a little bit of a surprising one as well. I think if we put it anywhere else in a set, it might not hit hard, because it's about like coming on stage, making an impact, you know, get people to look at you, and then sustaining that throughout your entire performance, and then being able to hit them with something slightly different, but hoping that they're invested in you by that point, that, you know, it blends with what they've heard. So I think it always works quite well as an ending, and that's why we put it at the closer of the album as well.
Yeah, you do show a good understanding of how to structure an album on this, because surprisingly, you still, you know, you can put an album on, and how many bands put the upbeat, you know, aggressive songs in the first 5 tracks, and then it'll just wane off, won't it, for the second half? Or here, it is a chronological listening experience, isn't it? Even though the songs are not, it's not concept. No. You're drawing from various pieces of folklore in many cases, or a personal experience on this song. Echo, cryptically, can you just give us an idea what it's about? I understand you said it's traumatic. You don't have to go into it too much, but
I mean, I won't go into the experience too much, because that is my private personal one. But we did link it actually into a myth and legend. So this was our old bassist at the time, Johnny Dawson, who like worked on all the lyrics, and he had a cool kind of myth that worked like with this sort of experience in a way, and that one's actually based on Greek myths. So the idea of it was Echo and Narcissus. So it's the idea of she's looking for somebody in the forest, like Narcissus thing, and he's not like paying attention to her. So he wants to be with, she wants to be with him in a sense, but he's ignoring her. We can't get through to her, and then over time she kind of gets lost in the forest and ends up fading away. And by the time he actually realizes, you know, he's there, she's actually gone and lost as an echo into the woods. So for me, it's that sense of like value kind of time that you've got with people, and not to ignore them, because like you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So, you know, don't always like focus on your own things. You know, never have regrets of like, if someone wants you to do something, like go do it with them, because you don't know what's going to happen the next day, and you might then suddenly want to do something with that person, but they're no longer there, and you're going to like hold that regret to yourself. So we kind of like linked it in with this whole mythology of where an echo actually comes from, and that idea of like just a voice that's no longer there, but you can still hear it.
Yeah, I
felt like that captured the experience at the time.
I'll just share with you as well. I can definitely identify that. So my father passed away in February unexpectedly. What you've just said, some of those feelings of guilt, like you just said, it might just be, "Hi son, let's meet up, let's go and watch the Man United game," or "Do you want to meet up for a beer?" You know, we were living in different parts of the country, and you take it for granted, and then as soon as that goes away, you're just thinking, "Oh my God, there is a void, isn't there?" And I think this song, now you've explained it, this is going to take on more meaning for me.
Yeah.
So I just want to go listen to it again now. Now you've explained what it's about. So that brings us to a close then. We've gone through the album. What are you planning to do for the next stage of promotion and touring, and what's in the pipeline in terms of like a vinyl release? Should we end it just with some more information?
Vinyl release is, we're hoping to do it. It's dependent on finances, frankly. The touring plans, we've got some cool stuff, some of which has slipped my mind. We've got Sarcoma Fest, which is always great. We've got London on Saturday with the Retribution Live guys, and I can't remember what the name of the venue is.
The
Macbeth in London on Saturday. I don't know when this is going out, if that might be in the past by then.
I'll get it out if you want.
We've got Colville Metal Invasion as well. We're on the outside stage for that on Saturday. And there's definitely some more travelling pipelines that I can't go into too much detail on.
I think, are you aiming to get to Germany to promote this album? I don't know why I've got Germany there. Did I read something, or maybe speak to one of you under the influence of alcohol after that gig in Coventry? I've just got Germany there.
If you did.
Germany, we definitely want to. We haven't got anything confirmed as yet. We've got a few European things that are a possibility, but we don't have them.
Yeah.
Of course.
We've got stuff hopefully. Yeah.
And I want to go back to Iceland. I really want to go back to Iceland.
You're the back
I
yourself
put
again,
on the
don't
plane. There's stuff and to go back to Iceland. But yeah, there's stuff there in the pipeline. Things we're really hoping like now this is out, because this has been such a long journey getting this one out there. You know, we're focusing on new writing and stuff already, and it's just hoping that now this is out there, people finally get to listen to it. They get to hear it. It just helps build the following. We've got a lot of hard work to try and do there. But yeah, hopefully just people enjoy it, and you know, we start seeing them at gigs and things.
It sounds like you're looking forward to the hard work, though, the way you just worded it. And you're very, I can see that the focus, and there's a shared collective desire to really just move forward with this now, isn't it? You're very clearly passionate about it, and we've finally got the debut album. So yeah, thank you very much for coming on and discussing this album. I've enjoyed it. I've reviewed it for Scream Laugh Repeat. And are you planning, just one more thing, are you planning to do at least one more music video as part of the cycle for this record?
Possibly, we were talking about it.
Planning, yes.
Money.
I need to talk to him about that after this, basically.
Yeah.
The video comes after a second trip to Iceland, then, doesn't it? Clearly.
Oh, we did talk about trying to. I do want to do like a video in Iceland.
We
That's
were.
album 2 though. Like, I'd love to do a big, kind of like bigger production type thing for album 2. But yeah, definitely be cool to put something up. I think there's been a few tracks that have surprised us off of the album, like Blood and Bone in particular. I didn't think was going to get as like big a reaction as that from a lot of people, and like that could be a good one to actually follow up as a video.
Song of the Seafarer, that's another candidate, surely, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, there's a couple to choose from, but yeah, we'd love to try and get something out there just to follow up with.
Superb. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the ADK Rock and Metal channel, and I've no doubt we'll be speaking again, whether that's for album number 2, or if you do a music video, we will review that as well. So thanks once again, Ross and Dave.
Awesome.
Thanks for the evening.